set up while we were kind of having our little discussion there. So if you know how to trade the 26, that was a setup for us to try. And it did produce both targets. So if anybody is new, has anyone in here not heard of the golden setup? I'm sure that everyone has. We're going to short this 77 real quick, and then we're going to talk about the golden setup and what I'm just going to jump right into this real quick here, and what and how it sets up. Okay. It's a very high probability trade. All of my trades are evidence based, so we just kind of when these things set up, we take the trade. So real quick, we'll just talk about it for just a second here. In case you don't know, but I'm sure that everybody in here has gotten at least one email about the golden setup. At least one, right? So there's a very big probability of the first part of the trade playing out. Okay. And so just kind of give you an example here. And we don't need a slide to show you this. It is setting up again. When price comes from any level that ends in 50 down to any level that ends in a 26, we buy this for a retracement back to the 50. Okay. So that's all it is. It's just a retracement. I determine that the 50, all these, any number, any level rather, ending in a 50 is an inflection point. So from the inflection point, a 50% retracement typically moves back to the inflection point. That's the entire setup. The probability here, the high probability, is that we will achieve the first target, which is the 33, and that's the +7. Okay, that's the very high probability. And so once we have that done, the stress is out of the trade. So I tell you what, we'll do this again. This one might not work because the market's moving down. Actually, what we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to have to buy this on a back through, you guys. This bar has 45 seconds left, and if it has momentum into this level, it may push down below it here. So let's just wait a second. Yeah, see, it kept going. So let's just step aside here. Okay. There's just too much momentum in the market. This would have been a stop loss for us right here. Okay. So let's just sit tight. Actually, it wouldn't have been a stop loss. You'd have been getting out right here, but we've got, the ATR, which is what we use to measure volatility here. The ATR is very big. That means I'm using a 15-point stop. So you see the ATR reading is 23. That means these bars, on average, are over 20 handles. So what does that tell you when you are using, in terms of risk management, we're using a 15-point stop. So if each one of these bars are over that 15-point stop, it puts it in jeopardy. And we have to use kind of some more, advanced intermediate type techniques in order to trade it. So we want to be careful here. The other thing that just happened is we just closed below the overnight low and monthly pivot. The best trade of the day, and I missed it. The best trade of the day was that right there. So who knows what we do with weekly pivots? Who knows what we do with weekly pivots? Does everybody know the rule around a weekly pivot and why we observe those? I missed this. I absolutely missed this. It's a short from below. It's a long from above. So Maida got it. Sean got it, right? I missed it. And it lined right up with one of our spots, right? It lined right up with one of our spots. Best trade of the day. And I absolutely missed it. So let's just see where we're at. Getting a little more bearish here now. So here's what I mean about lining up with one of our levels, by the way. So I know these bars are big, but it lined right up with the 46 from below. And I missed it. I missed it. All right, so let's focus here. Let's see if we can find a trade. We're not just going to, we have to do this kind of methodically here. We want to follow price. So if we're going to short this thing, I think it needs to make a lower low and then another attempt to the 26 here. Okay. So the high probability for the golden setup is on the first test. This is a first test. This was a second test. And we're kind of just reading the room here. And we were just a little too bearish to kind of jump in front of that. These bars are big. This is a very big, this is a 40 point candle here. And so the NQ, the NQ can be a little crazy sometimes. We got to respect it. Yeah, so this would be, I don't know that they're actually going to be able to do anything here, but the SPY put is the 644. The Qs put is 570. I'm just not convinced that they're gonna blast this thing lower. We're gonna try a short right here, 56. So if this thing can reach up to 56, we're gonna sell it from below here. I just not convinced they're gonna grind this thing lower today. I think we're gonna find a range because we just have such a huge data point tomorrow. All right, so I'm going to short this level as price comes into it from below. This is the bottom of our initial balance. It's the bottom of the opening range. We do have a first test of a golden setup setting up as well, by the way. We're just trying to go with price here. Well, you should know the setup by now, PB. You don't need me to tell you to buy it. How many times have you bought it? It's just a matter of paying attention. All right, let's see if we get filled here. So the idea here is that we are going to test the 56 and then immediately back test the 50. And that's going to matter for us because remember, this is a big level. This is an inflection point, right? And I'm looking for a retracement back down to this level here. We'll see. And we might have another golden setup as well. Well, you do now, sir. When it comes from 50 and you want to buy a 26, you got to kind of be there. It was moving fast. We'll have other trades. It's all good. Don't have to be in every little wiggle of the chart. I really want this to fill us though, right here, like now. And I don't see, that's what we wanted with us getting filled, the retracement here. So we might have to do this a little differently, but. So let's see if we can get in this trade. And then for PB, I want to make sure that he understands exactly how the golden setup sets up. So we are coming from the 50 right now. If this comes down to 26, we're going to buy it. Okay, that will be a golden setup. It is going to be the first test again. Right? It's going to be a first test because if we look left, we can't look beyond these candles. Price went all the way down to the 12. David? So the whole point of recognizing a test, what the first test is, okay, is you look left. You look left. There's no test of the 26 down here, right? So you're looking left all the way into Globex and there's nothing there, right? All right, we're in this. Let's see. Hopefully they don't run us down. This is what I call an anticipatory trade. We're anticipating that the opening range is going to push back down. Okay, we got +5 on that trade. All right, we've got an even stop and we're out. So now let's talk about this. What makes this next test a first test? Okay, so the process in identifying tests, we're gonna short 77 up here if it gets there. I'm gonna put my order in. We'll see if it gets there. Oh, here we go. See, that's why I'm not really interested in those 0 DTE puts at the moment. So I'm going to get back to it 1 second. So what makes this a first test? Again, we look left, right? So we're looking left and there's nothing here. And we can scroll over all the way into the overnight session and there's no test of the 26. Does everybody see that? Does everybody see that? All right, we're in the 77 now. So let's just wait a second here. I don't think they're serious about moving it down. I think they're just going to find a range to hang out in. You kind of want this to push back a little better than that. So this might engage our escape hatch. We have engaged our escape hatch here. So it's gone against us too much. We need price to come back and let us out. We might get stopped out. I have a hard stop up here and we might get stopped out. So the ATR is still very big. We got stopped out on that trade. So we just gave back some points there. So let's get back to our discussion here real quick. Because this thing is guilty until proven otherwise. Good call, Tim. So obviously you guys see this, right? You guys see this? There are no tests here, right? So when price comes down here, this is the first test, right? This is the second test. Price continued down through here all the way down to this next level. Okay, so now price has to come back up and back down into the 26 for it to be the first test. Why would that be the first test? Because when you look left, you cannot look through this candle. It produces basically a wall. You guys understand that? It produces a wall, right? You can't look through that. This is just very high ATR here, you guys. This is very high ATR, so we don't want to get chewed up. But does that, you get that? I know you get that, David. I've said it to you many times, but does everybody understand that? Now the trade that we were in is starting to work. So we just did not have enough. We just did not have enough of a stop to withstand this. We literally top ticked this. So the 15-point stop, again, in the high ATR, the red badge is giving us the warning. All right, so let's let this bar close. we're back inside the opening range. So the low of the opening range can hold, and that is our 56. So if we see a 56, if I see a 56, I'll buy it. This now tells us that we can head back up to the top of the range. So we're just barely positive on the session. Unfortunately, we got stopped out on a trade. Lewis, do you see this big red candle right here? That produces what a visual, like a wall. There's nothing that happened over here matters. You can't look through that. You see that? Why would anything, if price took out this low right here, this is what you're using for risk. If price were to make a lower low and it just produces this big obstruction, like a wall, right? You can't look through it. So nothing over here matters. So now when this comes down over here and you look left, it's going to be the first test, right? We're definitely in a little range here. So if this holds, let's just take all the levels away. If this holds, we should head back up here, right? All we are in the opening range here. We're inside of this opening range. They cannot break it down yet. It broke down, but they pulled it right back into it. And we're sitting on what I call cash. That level is where the market opened today. So underneath it, it's bearish. Above it, it's bullish. Now we're getting above volume weighted average price. That's bullish. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy a 77 if it pulls back here. So if this pulls back to 77, we're going to try to get long. If we get a bar close above the 88, so if this 2-minute candle closes above the 88, looks like it wants to, then we'll get long here if it doesn't test this level up here. But it might just go without us. It looks like it is. Tricky stuff here. Tricky. All right, I'm going to buy an 88. So I'm putting the order in on this level here to buy it if it pulls back. This is a little bit of a higher high. We don't want to sell this short. We want to sit tight now. Oops. I still like the long. See if we can still get it here. Now this is the top of the opening range, right? But I like this little higher high versus this bar. So I feel like if this can hold, we're going to retest the top of this up here. So what's important here is if we get long 88, is that the cash level holds. That's down on the 80. So we're willing to take 6 to 8 points of what I call risk or heat on the trade. We will let it go against us that much. When we're trading the NQ, very big moves in the NQ, very big waves, very fast trade. So we've got to understand that at any point, we can take heat on the trade. It's when the ATR is outside of our stop loss, that's when the heat can exceed what we're normally willing to take and just unfortunately take us out of the trade. So yeah, now you got just kind of a little snooker job here. So now we've broken out of the opening range. So that 644 call, which Tim was just talking about. I mean, the SPX rather can grind to 77. So I don't know what the 75 call looks like there. We want it just to pull back, man. So if I take a little retracement here, retracement tool on this move, look where the halfway point is here. Whoops, sorry about that. So from this wick to this wick, what's the 50% pullback? It's our level that we're trying to buy, right? So if this can pull back to 88 here, I feel like we can get involved in a trade. The opening range that I observe is the first 2-minute bar. I trade a 2-minute chart, but I also observe the first 30 minutes, and I call that the initial balance of the trade. And that's up here. So the top of the initial balance is up here. If they really get trendy with this market, we'll go and get above this, and the blue skies are up here. They'll just grind this thing higher. This is yesterday's high, so they have to convert that to support. It's still kind of a triangle, all things considered. We haven't really done much here. See, this is the first 2-minute bar right here, the low of it and the high of it. And this was just a false break that fell back in. So we're going to stick to our plan. We don't want to have any FOMO. What we need as far as a signal to give us an indication that we are going to the high of the day, yesterday's high, is a bar close above the 12. And it's just forcing us to chase the market. Yes, Lewis, you should. If you are not comfortable or privy to how to trade hyper volatility, we do a different technique in trading hyper volatility. It's called a back through trade. If we have the opportunity, I'll show it to you. And so we have to know when we need to engage that type of technique. But as a new trader of futures, if you have an ATR reading that exceeds your stop loss, you're just at risk. Your timing has to be perfect. Timing has to be perfect. All right, so they're not letting us in. We're back above. So I'm going to buy this now against this. So I'm going to buy the 06 here. So I'm going to buy this, and I want to see the 50 or the 500 hold here. We're looking for a move up to the 26 up here. ATR is still pretty big. So I'm kind of buying a breakout here. I'm looking for it to retest the 12. If it can do that, we're going to break through there. Or we should anyway. All right, we got our +5. Let's see if it can reach up and pay us a +20. All right, so we're in a trade that's working. We have a offer sitting right up here at 26 for a +20. And this is going to repair, if we can get it, it's going to repair the stop loss that we got. And then we'll be back in positive territory. No, we've never gotten negative territory, but we'll be back. So let's see something here. Oh, boy. So the 64.75 call on SPX, it's a little pricey. And it's $4. But that kind of looks like it's setting up there. All right, let's see if we can finish the job here and get paid to the 26. We should. This should test 26. Be kind of cool if it did. So now people will ask me about, hey, do you trail a stop? Do you lock in profit? When you're trading the NQ, I don't really do that. Because if you do it too prematurely, you get taken out of the trade prematurely. I pick targets on the NQ. Those are our levels, right? So we just got a plus 20. Well, Carlos, that is your trade if you were not long 06 with me. I'm not going to video game it, right? So I don't want to video game the market. Like I'm long, short, long, short, long, short. Let's get in a trade that works. Let's get our plus 20 and let's let at least a bar close. If you're short 26, it should push back down to the 12, right? But if there's an indication that we could potentially head up there, I want to be long going with price, right? Does that make sense? Like it's the dance monkey dance. So the 26 did pay you if you were in the trade. All right, let's talk about this trade real quick, okay? Because some of you guys might not know what we just did here. So let's talk about this for 1 second. We got some ADD going on here right now. Hang on 1 second here. All right, so Carlos, I don't know if you did the trade, but you just got paid. Now, the reason that I bought the 06, okay? The reason that I bought the 06, a couple things here, but mainly because of this bar close above the 06. So what I was basically kind of betting on is this, a break of the opening range, and it's right sitting on the 500, the big round level. A break of this opening range should head back to yesterday's high, and that's the 26. So it's set up for us to get at least the first part of the trade done, right? So the first part of the trade is getting that plus 5. So bar close above, I bought the 06 here based on this candle and based on the close above this. See the difference here? So you see these wicks right here? See how these wicks close inside of this big green line? Now we make a higher high, and it's honestly, you got to try it. That's what it boils down to. That's just what it boils down to. You just got to try it. Well, that's okay. Booking handles is good. So the probability, we talked about the probability on the golden setup here, right? So the high probability, it's a 90% probability that when the 26 is tested, it's going to go to 33. Okay. And of course, you got to know a little nuance here and how to trade this thing. The same probability is right here. It is the same level, by the way, but this is a 26 coming into it from below. So the probability is that it is going to backtest this level right here. And that's exactly what just happened, right? So that's what I was kind of talking to Carlos about. You know the probability, right? And the probability is that it's going to come back to the 12. And again, all this is, you guys, is math, and all we're doing is looking at it from the standpoint of doing one thing, one major thing. What is that? The first part of the trade, getting risk out of the trade, getting the trade paid for, right? So now you see how this bar has kind of got some momentum and it's big and red. Let's let it close. It has a full minute left. Let's let this bar close. We may come right back inside to the opening range here, right? We might come back inside. Nice, Mike. You never know how deep they're going to go. This could come all the way back down to 88. We have no idea. What we do know is that if we start doing a 2-minute bar close above this again, we may buy the 06 again. All right, so all we're doing here, you guys, all we are doing is we're just navigating price action and we're using our levels on the chart to indicate where we're going to enter the market. The key for the levels is identifying where the risk is. Where are we wrong? Now, with high ATR, it doesn't really give you a chance sometimes to be wrong and work your way out of the trade, right? Like we saw in that 77 we did. So now look, we're coming right back inside to the opening range, right back inside of it. That's why I think if you're going to trade the 0 DTEs, you got to take profit quick on them today. So maybe we're going to come all the way back down here to cash. We're going to try a long here, though. We're going to buy the 88 because of the 82 here. So if this comes down to 88, this blue line right here, I'm going to try a long. We may just sit here and chop, meaning we may go nowhere. It may just kind of sit here. Nice work on the 26 short, you guys. Nice work. So I got it going up. You guys got it going down. Does that make sense, RC? The logic there? ES is having a hard time breaking through as well. Or at least holding its opening range. Sheesh. Hang on a second here. I'm just looking at the ES on another chart here. All right, let's do this. Let's update our Fibonacci's here. Okay, so we have, again, this is a 10-minute chart now. We have a bar close above the target here. So let's do this. And then let's kind of see where. So this 04 area, this is our halfway point. And we're looking to buy this level here at 88. And this bar's got 4 minutes left. So we're just kind of jammed up here now, which is not uncommon to be jammed up with around an inflection point. The big round level, this red line right here is the 500. So not uncommon for us to kind of be stuck in this little zone here. Not yet, Lewis, not yet. We can make a case for it coming over the top of this and going to 33 and retesting the overnight high, this blue dash line up here. But we just have to kind of be patient here. We just got to wait a second here. because you can go nuts with the NQ trading this thing. It sets up so many times. And it moves, and it's just so easy to push the button. It really is. But you're just going to create some really bad habits by doing that. We want a clear sight to the 20-point move. We really want high probability of getting risk out of the trade. So see, we have another test of the above the 06 here. So this is what I will do. I'm going to cancel the 88. Let's just get rid of this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to let this pull back to the 500. If the 500 holds, we're going to do a back through trade at 06. We're going to do a buy stop at 06. But you see how it's in this zone? It's going to go, well, there's a little higher high. So it's either going to do one or two things, and you don't really know what it's going to do. It's either going to go do this, or it's going to do that again. And there's nothing really indicating that it's going to do that yet, right? So we want to put our best foot forward, and we want to let it engage, let it come down and test this level. Once it tests the level of the 500, so once price comes down here, see where it says 23,500, all these right here? When it comes down here, that's when I put the order in. And that would be called, that's what's called a back through trade. Because honestly, from a pattern standpoint, it really is a coin flip here. You could make a case for a higher low here and a push back up to the high of the day. ES. Now, another characteristic of this thing. So look, real quick, before I go into that, what do we have here? What do we have here? We already have a test of 26, right? We can't look through this. This was the first test. So this next test is going to be the second test. Now we have a clean close, a 2-minute candle above this level. So we're breaking out again. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit tight. We're not going to short this again. We want to try to get long because I think we're going to go retest the overnight high up here. That's what's setting up. So we're going to buy we'll buy against the 12. So we want to try to get down to the 12. This should make an attempt to test this level here. So let's see if it can come down here to the 12. So what I'm going to do here, Lewis, is if this comes down to the 12, okay, there it is. Oh, let's buy the 06 here. We're just going to buy the 06. So now I'm long 06 here. This didn't test the 26, so this could go right back up to the 26. All right, we got a +5, and we're looking for another test of the 26 up here. All right, so we're in a trade that's working. And let's see. All we can do is wait and see if it can do it. So that was a back through. It tested the 575. You kind of had to just be a little quick with it, though. I could understand if you missed it. NQ is it's a fast trade. It is a fast trade. And we might get stopped out at even. So we might only get our 5 points out of this. So when we have risk out of the trade, when we take that first point of profit, I protect the balance of the trade. I've got one contract left, and I've got a stop loss sitting on that level. So that means if it comes back down there, it's just going to stop me out at even, and I lose nothing. right? Does that make sense? Now we're out. And so now when we get stopped out, whenever I get stopped out of a bar like that, I don't go again on the same bar. So the bar has to close. This is a very choppy area for this market. SPY is above the pre-market high. So if we really feel like we can grind higher, the 645 call is setting up here, but I think it's kind of expensive. I think we missed it. You kind of want to be in this already. I'm just a little suspect because of NFP, non-farm payrolls tomorrow. That's what makes this a little suspect. Like the 64.75 call on SPX, like I would consider, buying that like at 240 for a try there. Because the 77 is open on SPX. But it's got to get there. Right? This is wide open right here. Everybody kind of getting the idea of how I'm looking at the NQ, how we're placing trades, why it's so important to get that first part of the trade done, because we're just in a point of profit. Like the most stressful part of this process of my strategy is the first part of the process, getting risk out of the trade, right? Once we get risk out, we can't lose after that. That's the very definition of having no more risk in the trade. If it can carry forward, we'll make the second target. If it comes back and stops us out, well, there might be a reason that it's doing that. So why would we fight it? Right? Does that make sense? Let's see what the ES is doing. So this is the ES on a 10-minute chart. They defended yesterday's close, right? So part of my pre-market playbook, we talk about that in the pre-market playbook. Bulls need to hold yesterday's closes. That's 64.60. Well, guess what, you guys? They did that. There's a wick down here, but they did hold this close. They went back through. This is where the market opened, and they've made a higher high versus the initial push on the first bar. So it is more bullish than bearish. There's no doubt about that. And the 10-minute VWAP is sitting here on 70, 64.70. But you honestly want to see, you want to see this 73 hold up here, in my opinion. Now, Professor Bierman is about to join us. He is about to come on, and I'm slacking here, so give me 1 second. Professor Bierman's session is Risk Impact Week. Professor Bierman's Expansive Guide to Capital Risk, Day 3. Okay, Day 3. What's up, Professor Bierman? How you doing?
Tony, I this is one of the most difficult markets to negotiate because it's just grinding. We're grinding the gears in place before we roll over at some point. But if you blink so many times, you're going to miss opportunity. I have one of the home run trades of the day, which I'll talk about. It's the stock's getting destroyed today. And I keep telling everybody, Tony, if you don't measure up to the risk, you're going to lose a lot of money. And these people who bought yesterday are probably just crapping themselves dead right now.
Yeah, I think it's all just hinged on,
It's
tomorrow's
momentum,
payroll.
Tony. It's momentum. They're just chasing momentum. Nothing. There's no fundamentals. They're chasing Momo.
Of course.
That's all
Of
it
course,
takes,
but I
though.
think tomorrow's NFP has a big say in where our next leg on this chart is. So when we look, let's just go out even more of a time frame here. We're just inside of Tuesday's bar still. We're still inside of this range, and we're just churning, right? That's all we're doing. So we did get an official test of weekly pivot here
Right.
on the ES. We didn't make a new high versus Tuesday's bar on NQ. So we're still inside of this bar. Hop over the top of this, and it puts this right into the crosshairs, the 812 up there. But my time is up, everybody. I'm going to hand you guys over to Professor Bierman. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned something today. If you need me for anything, if you want to learn more about the golden setup or more about the NQ and trading this way or anything that I talk about, you can reach me at support@TheoTRADE and just put it to my attention. Just put Tony in the subject line and it'll get to me. All right. You guys have a fantastic day. I will catch you guys later. Oh, wait. Let me make you the host. First, let me stop recording.